What up, everybody? It's Aaron with Robert. He let me back in from space, so I'm here now. Told you I brought a mic. There's my mic that he let me bring.
Yeah.
So
we're here to talk about WandaVision episode 5 on a very special episode. This is going to be spoilers. So don't say we didn't warn you. Spoilers, if you have not seen episode 5, this is the one you definitely don't want to get spoiled for. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, then come back, watch us, leave a comment.
Exactly.
But definitely do not watch us if you haven't. Last chance. Spoilers. All right.
Okay. Let's start from the beginning.
I want to start with the title. Okay, so this is like, if you watch sitcoms in the 80s and 90s, anytime they dealt with like a heavy subject matter, like drug use or, death or something like that, it was always on a very special episode. Like, that is clearly like calling this out, and this episode is dealing with grief big time. So, yeah, I mean, like, this show is very clever, all the things that it does, but this title, right off the bat, it lets you know we're going to be dealing with something here.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how you start with the title, because I wanted to start with the theme song.
Okay, so where do you
Where do you want the titles during all of it? So.
Yeah, I mean, so the theme song comes after the opening scene, like, with Agnes, which is, again, like, that cold open is very, 80s sitcom style. And so I do want to talk about that scene, but we can talk about that.
We can go. Let's start with that. Let's start with the opening, and then we'll go to the song.
Yeah. We get the opening of them, trying to put the babies to sleep.
Yes.
And then it's like, maybe we could just use a little help. Ding dong, and there's Agnes, and that's your first indication that we've been seeing it build this whole time, but obviously Agnes is working together with Wanda in some way. They're working together, whether Agnes is Agatha Harkness, which a lot of people think, or is just some random person. She clearly knows what's going on and is, at least Wanda thinks she's on her side. Whether or not that's true or not, we don't know.
Right.
But, she shows up, and of course we get that really awkward scene where she, Vision is kind of like, I'm not sure about this. And it's just like, and all of a sudden we're away from the sitcom. We've got that break. And as opposed to most characters who, things just, hey, we reset. Maybe it's a quick rewind. We saw that with the Beekeeper or with Vision, where it's just like the blip and we redo, or even the other moments where there's been breaks, it's just like a hard cut. Yeah. We get to see Agnes basically say, you want to start that from the top? Like, it's almost like she's confused about what she's supposed to do in the scene. She's like, I'm supposed to get the babies, right? Like, that's what you want me to do? Yeah. And we get Vision just being like, what in the world is happening?
Vision, like, what is she talking about, Wanda? Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. And then she plays it off, it's not her fault, she has a high libido. And it's like, you're not even going to address that Agnes
she's trying to move right past it once again. And then, of course, we get the moment where the kids age up to 5. After we see her try to use her powers to put them to sleep.
And it didn't work.
Just like in episode 3 when she couldn't control the stork, she clearly cannot control the children.
Yep.
And we even get a specific call out from that with Agnes, where it's like, kids can't control them no matter how hard you try.
And that's also a comment. She saw them age. Did not even comment at all. Blink. Just was like, okay, they're now 5.
She's just rolling with it, obviously. Yeah. And you see that multiple times in this episode. No matter what, she's rolling with it. Yeah. Which, again, is a tip-off to Vision. There's something wrong here. Like, why is she just going along with this? He even calls it out. Or, I think Wanda says, like, she saw the kids, age 5 years right in front of her, and she didn't say anything.
She didn't say it.
And, like, Vision's like, that's a problem. Like, that's not a good thing.
It's not like, yay. It's like, no.
No.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, that was our cold opening, like you said. Then we go into the theme song.
Which,
the theme song, to me, is hitting this so hard.
The lyrics are great. If I've got you in my heart, nothing can faze me. And even
taking this day by day, and it's just like
we're creating our world or something like that.
It was basically we're going with the flow. It just I'm like, that's Wanda right now. She's just trying to figure out how to keep this all together still, I think.
But most important thing of the entire episode, what? Baby Vision.
Baby Vision. Oh my gosh, yes. I was like,
how hilarious was that? Like, as soon as they started going through the Wanda pictures, because hers came first, I was like, what are they going to do for Vision? Like, are they just going to have adult Vision, like, in various different things? Nope.
They went straight for like,
baby Vision. 9-year-old Vision, like, it was like sport coat, whatever.
Okay.
It was great.
I'll take that.
I loved it.
It was funny, but I was just like, I think, we've had the whole, like, what was it, episode 2, it's just the WandaVision, that's all they were saying.
Yeah.
This one, I think, actually alludes to what's going on.
Yeah.
And I really do love that. And then, like you say, we go into the title, or the title card, where it's like, this is going to be a heavy episode. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking this is all putting together where we're going to be going. And also, it kind of sets the tone for this whole episode.
Yeah,
even the song, I think.
Absolutely. And as soon as we step out of that theme song, we're out in the real world now.
Yes. Now, did you think they were going to keep doing this back and forth?
So this is what we talked about last episode. Is I was like, I think we are going to moving forward. I think this is the structure of the show. Is we're getting partially every episode is going to be part out and part sitcom.
That's right. You did say okay.
And so like so this does feel like this is what it's going to be moving forward. This was my favorite episode so far. This was the first one that I felt like was giving me the things I needed to enjoy a specific episode. Like when this episode ends, it was the first time in the 5 episodes that I went, I'm okay waiting another week. Okay. Like every other time I've been like, I want more. I want more. Like it hasn't been satisfying.
Yeah, exactly.
This episode was satisfying. Even though it leaves a lot of questions, it was like, okay, I've moved the ball forward on several fronts, on several stories, and I feel like I've gotten enough. But yeah, this structure of, we're going to spend some time outside the anomaly, and then other time inside the anomaly, I thought worked. And certainly, I feel like we should just cover everything that happens inside the anomaly and then kind of hit outside.
That works.
So I wanted to talk about the dog because I think there's 3 things at play here in this anomaly. I think there's conscious Wanda making conscious decisions to, control people or set up scenarios or whatever those things. I think there's unconscious Wanda. So there's things that she's in control of, but she doesn't know she's in control of it. Okay. And then I think there is a third presence that's somebody pulling some strings somewhere around.
Yeah.
So I kind of view, we talked about this episode is a lot about grief.
Yeah.
And so to me, the dog showing up, I think was conscious Wanda. It was, I'm going to, do something for my family, do something for my boys, So the dog showing up to me felt like that was a conscious decision to have a dog show up. When the dog passes away, that to me felt like unconscious Wanda, something in her with the grief going, you need to deal with this. You need to deal with grief. You need to deal with death. And it forced her to have that conversation with her kids.
Yes.
And so that to me felt very like, that wasn't somebody else pulling the strings.
That was all.
That was her. It was just, like, that dog was totally a proxy for death, loss, grief, how to process that, because she's like, the kids are like all ready to age up, and she's like, no, don't run from this feeling, like, and it's like, but Wanda, that's what you're doing.
Exactly. You kidnapped the town to do this.
Yeah.
And I want to comment on this thing because we've talked about it in other episodes, especially where we saw dead Vision.
Oh, yeah.
And we asked, do other people see it? Agnes doesn't, apparently. She sees him as who he is because she comments when they said, Mom, fix death. You can fix death. And she looks at her, you can?
Yeah.
Like, almost like she doesn't, I don't think she sees Vision as dead.
Yeah, that was a really interesting moment. I'm glad you called it out because on the one hand, it could just be Agnes playing along because her kids are there, and so it's not like she can't play like she knows everything already. Yeah. But on the other hand, it did feel like, wait, I'm not familiar with that power of yours. Like that you can do that.
I really think it's more she doesn't know. Because she did look too serious for that moment. That it was like, you can do this? And it was like, wait a minute. And I'm wondering, like you say, if maybe Agnes is helping her, or maybe she is another pawn for a bigger player.
Yeah.
Because she did, I don't think she knew that. But I love how the kids seem to have known it. Because they were, bring her back, Mom, you could do that. Yeah. And it was like, do the kids then see Vision as dead Vision? Or do they have a sense that she can bend reality that much?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we see, like the kind of the next scene that we see inside the bubble is the one where they get the dog. And so it's like, and we see the kids, they're 5 years old, and they're, trying to hide the fact that there's a dog because they don't think the mom's going to let them keep it. They go through that whole thing, of course. And I saw it coming, but it was still funny. Mm-hmm. It's we don't think you're ready until you're at least 10 years old. Yeah. And then and it's like, oh, well, good job. Now they're going to be 10 because that's what they're going to do. Yeah. And so, they just age up. And once again, and then Wanda is using her magic right in front of Agnes, like, oh, we'll just create this collar. And Vision is like,
freaking out.
What are you doing? Yeah. Like, this is not what we agreed to. Like, and he when he enters that scene, he's not in his Vision makeup, and he comments like, I just had a feeling someone's going to stop by, and here comes Agnes.
With exactly what we're needing.
Right.
And that's where he's really confused.
He's really, he's very questioning this. He even says, Wanda, what aren't you telling me?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he knows that there's something going on. And this goes all the way back to the first episode where he couldn't remember, what happened. And you get that specific call out later in the episode. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what happened before this. Yeah. She's trying to craft this reality. She's trying to say, this is our family. This is all that matters, is that we're together and we've got our family. Mm. And he's basically saying, but you can't control me, and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really powerful scene.
It really was.
To kind of illustrate, again, it's just building. His confusion is just building.
Exactly.
And he doesn't like that she's using her powers in front of Agnes and, being very cavalier about it.
Yeah. And I think the biggest hole the chink in the armor, essentially, when now we're in the 80s, 90s roughly right now, mm-hmm. right? And we're getting that first look at a computer.
Yeah.
In any sitcom. Mm-hmm. And as Vision is the only one that can easily put these things together, and everyone's just like kind of confused about everything. And so when he goes and helps, I don't remember the other guy's name. Norm. Mm-hmm. Get his computer set up, an email shows up.
Yep.
An email from Sword. And this was from Sword to Dr. Darcy about Dr. Darcy's work.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's it like whether it's just like an internal memo or something like that, but it shows up in this world as an email.
Exactly. And the chink in the armor.
And then
somehow.
You see the entire office just start reading it in unison.
That was creepy.
Again, is creepy. It was another for the children moment.
Yes.
Where you're like, what is happening with all these people?
Hit.
And of course, Vision,
that's what he realized.
The Maximov, anomaly, and he starts to go.
So he's able to touch the computer.
What's happening? Yeah.
And just delete the email possibly because it turns off.
He does something. Yeah.
But then he touches Norm and brings out the real Norm.
Accesses him. Yeah.
And I want to point out, I don't know who this actor is, but to go like this so quickly and then right back.
It was good.
He's a good actor. Yeah. You should get more roles, I don't know your name, dude, and I apologize, but you're really good.
Yeah.
Like, I love how he's that goofy guy, and then he's like, oh no, I need to, my dad, my sister, I need to call him. And he's just panicking, and he tells her, it hurts. Get her, she's in my head.
She's in my head. Very specifically plays the pronoun game.
Exactly.
She, her. We have a lot of clues that it's Wanda.
But he never says Wanda.
But he never says Wanda, and that could just be because he doesn't know her name.
Yeah, he just knows it's a female voice.
Right, and so there could be a lot of reasons why he's just saying she.
Yes.
But I do think it's specific that they don't call it out.
I think so too.
And you would think if he knew who it was, he would feel comfortable saying it. I mean, she's a public figure. She's an Avenger. So people know who she is.
Right.
So you would think he would know who she is.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of like, is this Wanda? Or because I do think, and we'll talk about it as well, I mean, Geraldine clearly is up on the side of, while Wanda's doing some of these things, she's not necessarily like, she's not fully aware of everything that she's doing. And I do get the feeling that Wanda doesn't know or doesn't understand necessarily that so many innocent people are being affected in this negative way. Because that is very out of character with the Wanda that we know.
Yeah.
And we even see that with the commercial, which I don't know if you want to get into that at this point.
I think so. Well, I want to comment. So Vision can now break this, I'm going to say spell for right now.
Yeah.
So he breaks it, brings Norm out, but then he puts him back in. So I want to know what kind of control Vision has now, because obviously Vision has figured something out.
Yeah.
He's figured out that he has the ability to release these people's minds and maybe not help them, but he can't tip his hand yet. He can't go and just free everybody because he knows something. He needs to figure out what's going on.
Right.
And so I do like that Vision is being very calculated. We're seeing that old Vision of like, something's not right here. And I'm going to be that machine almost, putting everything together. But yeah, let's go into the Lagos. So Lagos is our commercial this time.
Which, of course, is the callback to Captain America Civil War.
Yes.
Lagos was the opening scene with the, where they were chasing down Crossbones. And yeah, the explosion happened that she obviously feels very guilty for.
Oh, yeah.
And you even get that scene in that movie with her and Steve Rogers when they're back at the Avengers compound where she's blaming herself and he's like, it's not your fault. It's on me. I should have, recognized that bomb or whatever. She's like, turn the news back on. They're being very specific.
Yeah.
Like she clearly blames herself. The media has blamed her.
And that's why originally she was signing up with Tony originally. Like maybe that's
right. And so and so getting this paper towel this feels like every paper towel commercial we've ever seen, where it's like this spills and here's the other leading brand. Oh, that's not working. You got to use this one.
Even your husband can do it.
Yeah, and of course the tagline being like when you make a mess that you didn't mean to, and it's like. Whew. God, like this
How
is really
hard can we hit that nail?
This is hitting that regret, that tragedy, that grief that she feels, and certainly that guilt that she feels.
Exactly, and I agree with you 100%. I think this commercial still hits exactly. Instead of just like talking about stuff that's affected her, like like a company like Hydra or Tony.
Yeah.
We're talking about something that she did now. It's nothing that Tony did with the bomb. It's nothing that Hydra did or what's his name did to manipulate her with the Mind Stone. This is what's probably where one of her main griefs have started. First of all, Quicksilver dying, yes.
Well, but you go all the way back to when she was 10 years old and her parents die, and I think they call it out that it was like 2 days where they were waiting to die, staring at the Stark name on the side of the missile. Yeah. So all of that shaped who she became. Right. Of course, we get, talking about back on the outside, the director who is a total, I'm going to use the word dick. He's a total dick in this episode. And he's just like, Jimmy is like talking through like her.
Oh my gosh.
And he just keeps being like, she was radicalized and, joined Ultron and, signed up for Hydra. And he's like, well, that's an oversimplification.
Yeah. Jimmy's still like, no, like, I think Jimmy understands she's still a person. This is what they deal with grief. Where Haywood's kind of like,
and he's just like, what's your special name? Like, what's your secret name? And it's like, no, she doesn't have one. Like, which is an interesting choice that they've made, which goes all the way back. She's never been referred to as Scarlet Witch.
No. She's never had the traditional costume either.
Right. So she's just always been Wanda. And so that was really interesting to get that specific call out as well. Yeah. But yeah, getting back to being in the bubble, we have Vision, tracking, and that takes us right through to the end of the episode where he's now confronting her about the Norm conversation that he had. What's going on? This is not right, and we get that great. It's one of my favorite moments in the whole series. Okay, because he's like, you can't control me like you do them, and she's like, can't I? And the credits start to roll. Yes. And you're like, oh man, she just made that choice. And he's like, And you see like the credits continue playing, but then they get into this big argument and all of a sudden the credits are done. Yeah. And we're not in sitcom land anymore. No, we're in, Vision and Wanda are like,
they're about
close
to
blows.
Yeah. And I like that. Now I was trying to read the names, and none of the names seem to be anybody. Yeah. So if someone catches that, please comment below, because I was literally reading all the names. I'm like, okay, none of this sounds familiar.
Didn't seem like it, no.
So, but I love that because Vision is now ready to fight it almost, because he starts flying again. We see him fly up, and he's ready, and she flies up to match him, and then like you said, we have the conversation. You're their father. You're my husband. You shouldn't need to worry about what's outside of Westview. You shouldn't need all of that. And then I love how he comments, why is there no other children in Westview? Mm-hmm. And he's like, I pass by the playground every morning on my walk to work, and there's never any children.
And this is where, again, I think that we're dealing with like conscious Wanda, unconscious Wanda, and a third one. So I think that somewhere in her unconscious, in her subconscious, Wanda knows that what's going on here is affecting people. And she's somehow protected children from it. Right. Whether it was like removed them from the town before it happened, or I don't know, they're in a pocket universe or whatever. I don't.
Which would make sense if she was a child facing all this grief. She doesn't want other children to see it.
Yeah, so I feel like it was a subconscious choice by her. That like that's why there aren't any other children. But obviously, whatever's going on with her children is by design of, I think, that third force, that whoever that person is. Whether it's Mephisto, it's Agatha Harkness, it could be it could be Dr. Doom. We don't really know. But yeah, as their argument starts winding down, once again, and Vision is immediately suspicious. He's like, we're in the middle of something, and now here's this distraction, here's this thing, and you could tell she's hurt that he does not believe her, that this isn't her.
And I like that he comments, it's not, I think this is a very Vision comment. I'm going against all my statistics right now. Because he is still a machine.
Yep.
And he's already figured out all the numbers. Like, okay, probability of this happening is, 1 in whatever, blah, blah. He already knows all of this stuff.
But the probabilities of Evan Peters showing up as Quicksilver.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, we knew it was coming.
This was kind of spoiled.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't.
In the past few months that, like Evan Peters was going to show up in WandaVision. Everyone was like, what? But that's Quicksilver.
But I love Darcy.
But that's the other Quicksilver.
I love Darcy's comment.
Great.
She recasted her brother?
Pietro.
Pietro. And it's like, wait, oh yeah.
So for those who are not... huge nerds. Evan Peters played Peter Maximoff. He was not Pietro in that version. He was an American playing Peter Maximoff.
The son of Magneto still.
The son of Magneto as Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men universe. So he was introduced in Days of Future Past, and then he was in Apocalypse, and he was in Dark Phoenix. He had, kind of small roles in each one, but certainly made a huge impression, especially in Days of Future Past. You only get a few scenes with him, but he's just really... It's like he's really fun. A totally different take on the character than we got from Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was our MCU Quicksilver. We get that scene with him, and I'm trying to remember exactly who it is. I think it's Wolverine and Professor X, where they're like in his basement, and he's like playing games, and he's running around, and he's pulling out their wallets, and where are you from, and who are you, and all that stuff. And he's
just a kid still.
Yeah, and he's just kind of having fun. And then, of course, when they break Magneto out, that's a great, sequence. If I could put time in a bottle, like all that stuff. So I really like Evan Peters' version of Quicksilver. I think it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see as he's showing up. Is he that version? Is he pulled from a pocket universe?
Yeah.
Is he just a random citizen of this town that Wanda has decided, you're going to play my brother in my production?
Yeah.
Or is he a manifestation of this third person trying to mess with Wanda? So there's three different possibilities. He could be the actual Pietro from our different universe, and we know that this show and this is going to lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, so that would make sense. It could also be just like Marvel messing with us and just saying that, Evan Peters was the guy that lived in the town. And so he looked the most like Quicksilver. And so Wanda,
that could be something.
Like that would be a meta funny thing that they did.
Yeah.
Or it could be that third one, which is someone else introducing this to kind of, keep Wanda in line a little bit. So I don't know. Which one are you on? Which one do you think?
So... he has a different accent, it sounds like, when he's talking.
Well, he's got a New York accent.
Yeah, but I don't remember that from X-Men. It's been a while.
It wasn't as hard in the X-Men universe, but he was from New York.
Okay.
And I think that this was, very much like a sitcom moment. Like, hey, the cool uncle's here. Like
Uncle
that kind
Jesse
of,
shows up.
Yeah,
because, your sisters did Full House.
Well, and by the way, the opening sequence where it ends with them on a picnic blanket.
Yes, I was like, that looks like Full House kind of moment.
Full House right there.
My mom was trying to tell me. She was like, I don't know if that's more Full House or Step by Step. I was like, I think it's Full House.
And this whole episode was Family Ties, Growing Pains.
Yeah, it was all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, again, we're trying to break Vision, essentially. We're trying to make sure he doesn't know what's going on and keep him as far away from all of it as possible. I'm thinking it's this third part. Essentially, everyone's at this page. It's Mephisto. I'm gonna put a couple bucks on it, so maybe Mephisto.
Yeah,
I think it's Mephisto now saying, "Oh crap, Vision's getting too close. I need to break this up before Wanda starts realizing what's going on," and throws the only thing that would completely halt everything is Quicksilver, is her brother.
Yep.
And what is it? What shows up? Pietro. Like, it could have been Agnes, and she would have told Agnes to F off, basically, probably, or could have done something else.
My only question with that scenario is why it would be Evan Peters. Like, because if it is someone else controlling it, you would think they would use the one that she's familiar with. And that would be, you know, Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver. If it's not actually a person.
Right.
Or, you know, it's not real Pietro from either a different universe or, you know, our Pietro brought back to life or whatever. Like, why would they use a different skin, if you will, if it was someone else? That's my only question with that theory.
Mephisto can't resurrect anyone, I don't believe. I don't think he has the power to resurrect, but there's nothing that says he can't reach into other dimensions. I don't know if he has that ability or not.
So you're almost like it's both the theories. It is a pocket dimension.
Yes.
Like, he is from the Fox universe, but it's also...
It's Mephisto reaching into that universe, pulling him out, and throwing him over.
Interesting.
Because from what I remember, Mephisto can't resurrect the dead. I think he can mess with your soul. He can send your soul up to do stuff, but he cannot resurrect you. He doesn't have that ability.
Yeah,
but
I mean, they even talk about that with the dog and with everything. Like, you know, and you can tell Agnes is like, you can do that?
Yeah.
And now, so we know she's reanimated Vision, but he also was not a living being.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit different.
So here's what I'm thinking. And now we could play that it's Agnes and Mephisto. So maybe Agnes has the ability to pull people from other universes.
Maybe.
And Mephisto's like, let him in then. You grab him, I'll throw him in there, kind of thing. And they're working together.
Yeah.
Which would play off both scenarios. That would also explain how Mephisto was able to do it. Because I don't think he can reach into... I don't think he can do other dimensions, but I want to say he can.
Yeah.
And it depends on how they want to explain dimensions. Is where he lives in hell a dimension, so he travels to Earth, so he can travel dimensions.
Yeah, and I mean,
so it depends how they want to explain.
We've seen a little bit of that in Doctor Strange as they explored like the mirror universe or the dark dimension.
And it could be that all these walls now are paper thin from Doctor Strange, and Mephisto now is strong enough to break into other ones on his own. Again, I really think it's Mephisto placing it. I don't think it was Wanda. I don't think it was anything else. I think it was, like you said, third party, whether it's Mephisto.
It certainly was not
whoever.
Conscious Wanda.
No.
If it was Wanda, she did not know she was doing it. I do believe her in that moment that she didn't make the choice to have Pietro show up. And she's confused at first. Like, she's looking at him going, you know, you have
it's like you
have
him,
like the white hair and all that stuff, but it's not who I remember. And when he's, you know, hey, how about a hug for your long lost bro? You know, and it's like, Pietro, you know?
And she still looked confused. Even during the hug, like, she's happy because it's him.
Right.
But she looks confused still.
Yeah.
I mean, in Vision, who should have, like he says, he doesn't remember anything from before Westview. So he, I guess, technically doesn't have the knowledge of Pietro. He had no idea who the hell this is.
Right. He's like, who's this?
Now, to me, is it because you don't have the knowledge of before Westview, or is it because you know he looks too different? Like, this character, this is not, like, here's a picture of your brother. This is...
Yeah, I think it's the first one. I think it's because he doesn't remember anything before Westview. Yeah. Like, he doesn't remember his previous life. He doesn't remember that he's an Avenger. Yeah. He doesn't remember Thanos. He doesn't remember any of those things.
That's true.
And so I think that's the case. So